Hello and welcome to another class. Today we're going to be working on fractions and ratios. So assuming that you have an apple and you have two friends and you want to share your apple with your two friends, what fractions would you divide the apple into to share it equally and or among your friends? So to introduce our topic, we will be seeing what kind of fractions we can get from the number 1. We're going to be drawing a fraction chart. So when you have the number 1 and you want to divide that into 2 halves, you would have, so in the number 1 we have 2 halves. Okay, let's see, we have 1/2 and 1/2. When you add that together, you get 1. Also within 1, you can divide 1 into 3. Okay, and you have 1/3. Okay, you have 1/3. And you can also divide 1 into 4. And you have 1/4. Okay, so this is really easy. All right, so we will be looking at some quick examples. So the first example we will be looking at is, so we will be looking at some examples and we will be finding equivalent fractions of half. That's 1/2. Okay, an equivalent fraction is, we will be finding other fractions that are the same as 1/2. That's what we mean by equivalent fractions. So if you have 5/10, is that an equivalent fraction of 1/2? Well, we can find out by cancelling out or reducing this fraction to the lowest terms. Okay, so if you have 5/10, we know that we can divide 5 by 5 and that gives us 1. And we can divide 10 by 5 to give us 2. So finally we have arrived at 1/2, which means 5/10 is an equivalent fraction of 1/2. Okay, let's go back to our apple example. And this time around, you have only one friend. To share your apple with, but you don't want to share it equally between your one friend and yourself. You want to have a bigger slice than your friend. And so you decide you're going to give your friend one third of the apple. Okay, so you can have a bigger one. So what fraction of the apple will be yours then? Okay, so the apple is one apple. It's a whole apple, and so that's 1. And you're giving your friend 1/3 of the apple, which means you're taking 1/3 out of the apple. What is going to be left for you? It's going to be 1 minus that portion you're giving to your friend, which is 1/3. Okay, so we're going to do some subtraction. We will subtract 1/3 from 1. Okay, one of the easiest way to achieve this is to find a common denominator for both of them, and then you can work with the numerator to obtain your answer. So when we try to find the common denominator between 1 over 1, which is also 1, and 1 over 3, our denominators here are 1 and 3 below. Okay, so the denominators here are 1 and 3, and our common denominator here will be, who can guess what that is? I think it's 3. Okay, because 3 is divisible by 1. Okay, and 3 is also divisible by 3. So, great common denominator, 3. Okay, so when we have a common denominator as 3, we can then work with our numerators. So when we find our common denominator, what we do next is we divide our common denominator by each of these denominators, okay, and then multiply what we get by the numerator. Okay, so 3 is our common denominator, divided by the denominator here is 3. 3 divided by 1 is 3, and then multiply by 1 is 3. So, okay, we end up having 3 written down here. And then 3 divided by 3 is 1, multiplied by 1 is 1. We end up having 1 here. So 3 minus 1 divided by 3 will give us what fraction of the apple remains for you. Okay, that sounds pretty simple. I hope you're getting the concept here. Okay, so we'll do another exercise, and this time around we will be adding fractions. Again, remember, this is how you add fractions. You have 1 over 2 plus 1 over 4. If you're adding fractions, one method that would always work for you is to find a common denominator. Okay, to find a common denominator. And when we look at 2 and 4, okay, we can see that 4 is a common denominator because it's both divisible by 2 and 4. Okay, so we have a common denominator, and remember what we do is we divide our common denominator by our denominator here and multiply by the numerator. And so 4 divided by 2 gives us 2, multiplied by 1 gives us 2. Okay, and then 4 divided by 4 is 1, multiplied by 1 gives us 1, right? Okay, so eventually we have 2 plus 1 divided by 4, and that gives us 3 over 4. Okay, that is really simple. Okay. So we've come to the end of the first part of this class. Please do watch out for the second part.